Harinam. So very quickly, all over India, the whole continent learned of the Western Vaishnavas. Because large crowds would gather for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they would jump back on the train, go to the next station, jump off, have kirtan. And this is the town that Prabhupada spent 10 days in. This is Surat in Gujarat. I arrived in December 1970 as a photographer. Here's an example of changing bodies. So this is how he came, as a crow amongst swans. But Prabhupada was very kind. He allowed me to stay and photograph and travel for 2 months for the party.
How old you were in this picture? How old you were?
27.
27.
Yeah, if you have questions during the show, please speak up. So the second night we were there was a huge engagement. I was taking black and white photos. The other photos you can see are from still movie frames. This is one frame out of 24 in a second. So we've taken a lot of these for the presentation tonight. So anyway, you can see the crowds that showed up. It's absolute sensation to see the Western Vaishnavas. Every day in the newspaper they would print the route of the Harinam party and they would decorate the streets. People would decorate the streets to receive the party. You can see how eager they were. Everybody came out. So it's Surat is the town of the Krishna devotees. We couldn't go more than a few yards without being stopped. And garlands and sandalwood paste and drinks. It's Malati Day. Prabhupada would take his walk every morning by the river. That's Yadubara Prabhu in the background leading the Boy Scouts in Harinam Kirtan. You can see that little movie camera on his wrist. He took a lot of the early photos. This is a small town outside Surat. Prabhupada gave a very animated lecture. I took many shots of him speaking. Prabhupada would always, every lecture, he would urge the Indian people to take up Krishna consciousness, become Krishna conscious themselves, and spread it around the world. And we can see the result of that today. Indians are everywhere becoming devotees, starting temples, taking up positions of leadership. So Prabhupada started that wave of the Indian people coming to Krishna. It's Nanda Kumar Prabhu, Prabhupada's secretary for many years and servant. This is Mongol Arti in Srila Prabhupada's room. Very small room with 25 devotees, the most intense devotional Mongol Arti I've ever been to. It's Yamuna Devi leading. Prabhupada would often ask her to lead the kirtan. And Prabhupada was tireless. There would be 3 or 4 engagements per day. We could hardly keep up with him. Prabhupada's regal pose. The man in the Gandhi cup on the right side, not the person being pronounced, but the other man. He was our host, Mr. Jeriwal. He was a banker. He had a 3-story house. When we were leaving, he paid obeisance to all of us and begged for forgiveness for any offenses. He didn't commit any offense, we committed offenses. And young and immature. But then he was weeping at the end, and Prabhupada looked at him, and he looked at us and he said, "This is a Vaishnav." Very humble. He was hosting all 25 devotees to Prabhupada and myself. The next stop was the Kumbh Mela 1971, February. Millions of people came. And Prabhupada had us do three things: deity worship, prasadam distribution, and Harinam Sankirtan. Every morning he would come with us.
It was very cold, right?
Very cold.
It's like,
You see Giriraj Das Brahmachari on the right side with a blanket over his head. Now Giriraj Swami. This man would meet Prabhupada every day, and when he found me, he would pay obeisances flat out on the ground and start jumping. Prabhupada liked him very much. You can see little Saraswati on her father's shoulders, in yellow. Prabhupada called her a great preacher. Because she would come up to everyone and anyone and pull on their dhoti or sari and say, "Guess what?" And look down and say, "What?" And she would say, "Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you should surrender to him." And she'd run away. And whenever there was kirtan, she would raise her arms up and dance. And Prabhupada stayed with us, even though it was very, very cold. He could have stayed in the hotel or the Gaudiya Math, where he served for many years. But he always wanted to be with his disciples. It's one of my favorite shots. Again, from a movie frame. Prabhupada took us one morning to the Gaudiya Math by rickshaw. The Sri Rupa Gaudiya Math. This is where Prabhupada served for many years. He was a businessman at the time and did a lot of service at the Math. Deities. Yamuna Devi.
Which deities? Which deities?
I don't know the names of the deities in Allahabad.
I know.
Yeah. And then we went to Benares. This was the festival of Lord Chaitanya meeting Rupa Goswami. And Prabhupada was drawn through in a carriage through the streets with white horses. Wherever Prabhupada went, he was glorified and honored. And sometimes we think that Prabhupada didn't do so much preaching in India before he came to America, but he actually did a lot with the leaders. We met many leaders, the President of India on down, Indira Gandhi. So they remembered Prabhupada when he came back and hosted us at their homes, arranged programs, made all kinds of arrangements for Prabhupada's preaching. There's Thakur Swami in the lower left.
oh wow.
Considered Prabhu in the yellow cap. The Dinanath Prabhu in the very back on the mridanga. He was a great mridanga player and kirtaniya. Dinanath Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki
Jai.
Again, it's taken from little movie frames. in the process of restoring all the films to a better quality. So these little frames will be even better quality. We have 47 hours of film at 24 frames a second. Can you guess how many photos there are? 4,060,800. So Prabhupada had programs in all the major cities. Calcutta, Delhi, Mumbai, Madras, Chennai. So here we are at the Cross Maidan Pandal in Mumbai. This is the first big pandal in Mumbai. And this is where His Holiness Radha Swami met Prabhupada for the first time. Prabhupada called him from the back of the audience. You can see how many people there are. He had him come up on stage and sit next to him. So Prabhupada knew his future. Mystical. Also, His Holiness Lokanath Swami also came at that time. There's one other, Radha Prabhu from Canada. He was there at the program also. He had a hard time understanding Prabhupada's lecture. He said one thing that came through very clearly was the word surrender. So eventually he did. And there was a wedding on stage the last night of the program. This Bhagwan Prabhu from Sweden and his wife from Australia. And this was on stage in front of 20,000 people. So Prabhupada, in his lecture, he said, this is the real United Nations. When he said that, everybody cheered. Subal Prabhu, Subal Swami did the fire sacrifice. And you can see that Western sadhu on the very upper left corner with the long locks. I think that's the only picture of Radha Swami that we have.
Really?
At the Pandal. Very clear, but it'll get better. We'll have better resolution after we finish our film restoration project. So Jane was back home wondering what happened to John. And she had published a book in her sophomore year in high school, very, very highly praised book on photolithography. So I invited her to come to India to meet Prabhupada, and we could travel and do another assignment. So she came, met Prabhupada, and she asked him, I want to do a photo essay on an Indian village untouched by Western technology. So Prabhupada said, and we asked him where to go, because we didn't know where to go. Prabhupada said, wherever you go, you'll get your camera stolen and they will cheat you. Best to go to Vrindavan. So before we went to Vrindavan, we wandered around Mumbai taking our art photographs.
Wow.
It's all very new and exotic.
My gosh.
So we went to Nepal first before Vrindavan. That's Jane taking photographs. We hiked up into a beautiful valley about 10,000 feet and found a little cabin where we spent 5 days. I brought one book with me, that was Bhagavad Gita as it is, the first Macmillan edition with a blue cover. And she read that. It was the first time in her life that she had some inkling, some understanding that she might be the soul, not the body of the mind. So we came back down to Vrindavan, and Jean's favorite place to photograph was the widows chanting in the temples. And they would chant all day. So by that association, she became very moved to see their devotion in their eagerness to chant. So we got an invitation to go to Calcutta. Devotees were coming to Vrindavan at that time. There was no temple, just a small rented apartment. We had an invitation to come to Calcutta to produce the Vyasa Puja book from Prabhupada. So we had some photographs we included in that. And we went to Calcutta. You see me in the center distributing BTGs.
Wow.
So the mustache is gone,
Yeah.
short hair. Very slow to come. This is the Calcutta temple. Achyutananda Swami on the right, Mahakrishna Goswami there, Dinanath Prabhu in the arts, Yamuna Devi on the harmonium. And I took initiation at that time. It was actually the same initiation ceremony as Jananidas Prabhu. It was October 1971. So Prabhupada then took us to Delhi for another huge program. Thousands and thousands of people every day and night. And this is where the deities Radha Kukulananda. These deities are now at the Bhakti Vedanta Manor.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And by the way, Jean is now Vishaka Devi. She's the president of the Bhakti Vedanta Manor.
Oh, yeah.
So from atheist to president. This is Prabhupada's magic. And in Prabhupada, after Delhi, took us to Vrindavan, and we were married there, and Vishaka took Diksha. We have one picture of our wedding. This is it. I think of my daughter Hare Priya has hundreds of photographs and videos. Both my daughters at their weddings.
Yeah.
But we were the only photographers. So actually Malati Devi took this photograph. She grabbed Vishaka's camera and took the one photograph. Prabhupada was actually on the asan on the left. Fortunately, he's not in the picture. And we started following Srila Prabhupada, taking photographs. Prabhupada gave us a tour. This is the first tour of Vrindavan. Prabhupada took us on. This is the Radha Damodar Temple. Prabhupada's telling the story of Mother Yasoda seeing the universe in Krishna's mouth. This is a Pramanda Ghat. And afterwards, Prabhupada came and bathed in the Yamuna.
We can see this video in following Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Dr. O.P.L. Kapoor, Prabhupada's godbrother. Vacation. And we carried Prabhupada up and down the steep steps in Varshana. And here we are in Jaipur. The Queen of Jaipur, Gayatri Devi, hosted Prabhupada at her palace. We had very confidential talks, actually. She confided in Prabhupada quite a bit about her position and the difficulties and so forth. And again, Prabhupada was honored by a parade through the streets and a bullock cart. And then we came to Juhu. You all perhaps know the story of the struggle to acquire that land. Prabhupada didn't give up. So after we came to Juhu, Vishaka Devi and I stayed here serving for 2.5 years, from 1971 to 73. So while we were there, we got a letter from Gauranga Prabhu, the head of the BBT. He wanted to film on ISKCON. At that time, there were no movies. So Prabhupada liked the idea, and he actually financed our first film, Hare Krishna People. And Prabhupada gave $16,000 from his book fund, which is quite a bit of money. Usually it's used to print books and establish temples. So Prabhupada knew the value of media. Of course, today we know, and then people are mad after movies. This is the first film. It was premiered in 1974 in Mayapur in Prabhupada's room. How many have seen this movie? Anybody seen this movie?
Behind you.
All the early films, we went on to produce quite a number of films, about maybe a dozen. They're all on our YouTube channel called Hare Krishna Film Classics. This is the camera I used at the time.
Wow.
Very bulky and big. And then there's some padding over the camera to keep it quiet. It was quite noisy. This is the tape recorder that Vishaka used to tape the audio sound. All very big, heavy, and clumsy. I wish I had an iPhone 15 Pro. This is the editing system. We could never wind at the right speed. So a lot of it was a lot of guesswork. So now for the narration, you see the name Howard Wheeler. He actually helped a lot of the script. Howard Wheeler is Hayagriva Prabhu. If you get a chance to read his books, he's a great writer. And this is another one of Prabhupada's miracles. Only 6 or 7 years after he started the movement, this is the BBT warehouse in Los Angeles, shipping hundreds and thousands of books all over the world.
It's like an IKEA shop.
Your own forklift. Huge operation. So we tried to cover all aspects of ISKCON in this film. We have a wedding and initiation. Prabhupada meeting dignitaries. This is the Chief Minister of UP. Well, this is a scene in the movie where these cows are running down a hill in slow motion. When Prabhupada saw this, he said, "The cows are floating. Can you fix it?" I don't think he'd ever seen slow motion. So we said, Prabhupada, this is a special effect. He said, then it is all right. This is the last scene of the movie, Prabhupada dancing at the installation of the deities in Bhakti Yoga Meditation. So my father was very sympathetic with our service, and he bought this editing table for us. And he also got us a new camera. And the next film we made was called Brilliant as the Sun. Prabhupada actually asked for this film. He wanted something to show his godbrothers that he was printing and distributing his books all over the world. So this is a documentary on the book production process, starting with Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Pariksha at the bhagavatam. Mr. Vedic Prabhu listening to Prabhupada's voice. Prabhupada actually spoke one verse for the movie. This is the verse, very famous verse. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun. Everyone seen this verse?
Yeah.
This is the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust production house in Los Angeles, just across the street from the temple. As each step was completed, they check it off with a yellow square. Again, the process was quite tedious compared to today. Everything can be done very quickly on a computer. This tape, this lady would type out the tape, the transcript, and hand it to Archita Prabhu and put it in that machine. That machine would print out the page. Archita Prabhu is still working at the BBT 50 years later. And then each page would be photographed. I'm sorry, these are the paintings, not the photographs. And we followed one painting from the artist's sketch all the way through to completion. So everything would have to be resized, the cover, and then finally printing. This is the BBT warehouse truck
Wow.
taking airplane containers to the airport.
Jai.
So Prabhupada liked his reviews from very famous professors of very well-known universities, Princeton, Yale, Harvard, Oxford. And the final scene is a book distributor, Yadubara Prabhu, a very famous book distributor. He's approaching a businessman. The businessman is a devotee, and they're both wired with a mic so you can hear the conversation.
Oh my God.
I was across the street in the building, shooting them in the second story of a building. So Prabhupada, we delivered this film to Prabhupada in the 1975 Corporate Name Festival. And we showed the film in something called a Fairchild projector. It's like a businessman's briefcase. You can see the handle on the left, and it would fold up. And within 30 seconds, you can project a film. So we sat in Prabhupada's room and showed this film many times to guests. And the third film we produced is called Spiritual Frontier. This is a documentary on the New Vrindavan farm community. Prabhupada actually wanted this also to showcase simple living and high thinking. He emphasized very much the establishment of farm communities, as we know. Mangalananda Prabhu did the music. If you get a chance to hear his albums, he's a genius composer, lyricist, and musician. His first album was Change of Heart. If you can listen, have you heard that album, Change of Heart? Prabhupada really liked it. He said these can be played in the temples. So this is somewhat of a trick shot. I put the camera down on the ground, ran away, and then the horses ran over it. I did the same thing in reverse. It was a beautiful time of year in New Vrindavan, summertime, lots of crops.
Cacahuete?
Huh?
Peanuts.
Peanuts.
Peanuts, yeah.
You can't recognize.
Yeah, I say cacahuete is French
Oh.
for peanuts.
Some people haven't grown up in a farm, they can't recognize what plants are. Prabhupada was very proud of the milk production in New Vrindavan. One cow would produce up to 40 liters a day.
Wow.
10 gallons. There was a trick shot with the glass of the camera. And show the birth of a cow. And Prabhupada Prabhupada saw these puris cooking. He leaned up out of his vyasasana. He said, "I want one."
Oh, that's right.
And this is meant to be the first temple. Prabhupada wanted 7 temples on the 7 hills in Vrindavan to replicate the original temples in Vrindavan. But this became Prabhupada's palace. All the work was done by devotees. They just learned on the job. There's no YouTube videos to learn from. This is Prabhupada's palace. Has anyone been there?
No.
This is a big tourist attraction. One of the biggest in the state. Really stunning. These are the beautiful deities of Radha Vrindavan Chandra.
Sorry, where is the temple before the photo before?
The palace.
The Palace of Prabhupada is where? In which country or city?
America. America. In the state of West Virginia. That was where the first farm community was established. This is the last shot of the film. I'm in a helicopter shooting down on the Orion party. I wish I had a drone. My grandson has a drone. A lot cheaper and safer. So the fourth film that Prabhupada saw, it's called Spark of Life. This was actually requested by the Bhaktivedanta Institute, the scientific branch of ISKCON. A film to defeat the arguments of the materialists that life comes from matter. So we've thought if we try to defeat their current arguments, the film would become out of date because those arguments always change. So we decided to base the film on the basis of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So it's a dramatic short film, conversation between 2 college students. The one on the right is taking a biology class, becoming fed with the propaganda that life comes from matter. And the devotee on the left is studying Bhagavad Gita in a religion course. So they're both trying to convince each other of their own opinion. Here's the professor teaching the biology class. These are all devotees. This is Yadubara Prabhu. And he's explaining how life comes from matter, from combination of material elements, earth, water, fire, air. And we have vapor and gases, all to produce a one-celled living creature. So now, magically, by chance. So the biology student is thinking about what his friend has told him. And here we illustrate the different parts of the body, breaking down the bones, the nervous system, circulatory system, all the way down to the atom. And where is the soul? So another scene in the film, we show the changing bodies just by showing hands as people age. This is a brand new newborn devotee baby. There's a lot more pictures. I'm just thinking of you. And finally, death. So another scene, we have a person who's died on the operating table, and they're trying to bring the person back to life, unsuccessful. They use all kinds of methods, medical methods, but nothing. You can't bring life back once the soul has left. And then we have the mourning, relatives mourning the passing of their relative. And the priest giving the final rites and putting in the earth. So finally, the biology student is convinced by his friend in the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita that life comes from life. And it's a happy ending. Prabhupada ki
Jai.
That's the end of our show. This is what we're currently doing.
Oh, wow.
We've been fully funded for it. And very important project to preserve the films in the best quality possible. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. So this is the biggest project you have right now, so the restoration of the
Yeah.
films. So are you also projecting that you will maybe have other projects and make new films over the
Yeah.
years?
I think so. Nothing solid right now. Prabhupada told me never to put down my camera.
Yes,
You know that?
I heard it in Prabhupada's notes.
So I carry my phone all the time. Cameras. But yeah, we'll do something else.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Yadubara, for the presentation. So it looks like you spend a lot of time with Srila Prabhupada. What's your best memories with him? More intimate moment, maybe.
Yeah, you saw the Kumbh Mela.
Yeah.
I was at the Kumbh Mela. It was so cold, and every day. So I left at one point after a couple of weeks and went to Benares. And I had a friend there, so I stayed with him. But I knew the devotees were coming to Benares after Kumbh Mela. So when they came, I found where they were staying, and I went to see them, and Prabhupada was in the backyard just after his massage, and he had his bare chested and he was glowing golden. And I walked in, and what Prabhupada did, he had a pot of gur. He broke the pot of gur and gave pieces to each devotee, so everybody was licking these pots, pieces of pot with gur in it,
What is
including Prabhupada. Jaggery.
Jaggery.
Sugar. So I walked in and Prabhupada looked up at me and he said, all he said was, Krishna has captured you. And he said that I was convinced. There's many stories. If you watch the series Following Srila Prabhupada, it's on our channel, you'll hear stories from myself plus 334 other followers, disciples, and friends during that time. So what you do is see all the films of Prabhupada and you hear them speaking about that time and place. So if you listen to the whole thing, you learn a lot about Prabhupada. So I encourage you to do that. Also to show the Hare Krishna movie as much as possible. to newcomers.
Mm.
That's a tremendous effect, emotional
Yeah.
Mhm.
effect on people. My wife and I toured
On
with
the
the
side
film.
of it.
My wife and I toured with the film for a year and a half. It showed in theaters in 38 countries. And we saw many of them. And we just saw it time and time again. People knew nothing about the movement. They were crying out, coming out of the theater.
Wow.
So if you can establish an emotional connection with Prabhupada, the mind is already captured.
Mm.
You want to learn more, read his books. So I encourage the book distributors to take out, flyers
Okay.
for each. In fact, we have a flyer, Photoshop version. You can tailor it to fit the language and hand one out to everyone. Those who don't take books always take a flyer.
Mm.
At least they can see Hare Krishna. Take it home.
Mm. Is the film translated in French as well?
It is,
It is, yeah.
but it's on our website.
On the website.
It's on Amazon in English only.
Oh,
But it's on our website, harekrishnafilm.com. It's in 23 languages, subtitled. Plus it's in 8 Indian languages, the major Indian languages,
mm.
dubbed. The Indians like dubbing, not subtitles, right?
Hare Krishna.
harekrishnafilm.com.
Oh, yeah.
It means it's a rental or a purchase.
Mm.
But with a purchase, which I think is $9,
Okay.
you get all that material, all the subtitles, all the languages,
Mm.
and you get sections of the film that we couldn't include,
Mm.
some extras. Prabhupada's voyage on the Jaladutta,
Mm.
Prabhupada's staying in Butler, Pennsylvania with Sally Agarwal, and Prabhupada as a boy doing Rath Yatra.
Mm.
There's a lot there.
Is there any project to show those nice films about Srila Prabhupada on the cinema?
In theaters,
Yeah, like cinema.
I think it should be shown at least once a year.
Once a year. Mm.
I had the idea to show it on the anniversary of Prabhupada's arrival in their city or country,
Mm.
but not many devotees did that.
Oh.
To rent a theater and invite VIPs.
Mm.
And 50 years is a long time, and it's a big celebration.
Mm.
So I don't know if anyone who did that. Kind of the film has come and gone in many devotees' minds,
Yeah.
not really utilizing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they should.
Mm.
I don't know if any preaching tool that changes hearts so quickly. It's a 90-minute darshan of Prabhupada. Walking, speaking, sitting.
Mm.
Arjuna asked that question in the Bhagavad Gita. How does a man of transcendence walk, sit, speak?
Mm.
Mm.
This is the best way to illustrate that.
Mm.
Anything else? All right, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai. Yadubara Prabhu ki. Jai.